Hi, hello, and welcome. We are broadcasting live from GlobalAIPreneurs, the premier global gateway and unified operating system from trusted AI enterprises. Right now, we are witnessing an unprecedented paradigm shift that AI landscape is expanding exponentially, stretching across 8 plus categories and over 120 distinct technologies. Yet, this explosion has brought an unintended bottleneck. Enterprise buyers are facing severe decision paralysis. Investors are swimming unvetted invoice and brilliant founders remain isolated from the cross border institutional bridges. They need to scale. The results are clear capital inefficiency and deployment friction. Promoted by the Global Council for the Promotion of International Trade and the Global Council for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics. Global AIpreneurs was built to change the narrative. We are moving decisively past passive directories. We are a multi-layer engagement engine spanning technical operational reviews and community ranking, connecting enterprise demand directly with trusted AI supply. Operating across our primary global hubs in India, Singapore, UAE, Saudi Arabia, the USA, the UK, Switzerland, the EU, South Africa, Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria. We are bridging the gap between raw potential and institutional deployment. Today, as part of our investor and visionary interview series, we are delighted to welcome a leader who enterprise spans investment, fundraising, mergers and acquisitions, leadership development, and global business expansion. Rohit, thank you for joining us today to help shape the future of global AIpreneurs. Rohit
Thank you
Hebaar,
for, thank you, Sushma.
yeah, Rohit Hebaar is the managing partner at Aureivia LLP and the seasoned investment strategist, fundraising advisor, and leadership coach with expensive helping startups and growth stage companies scale internationally. Throughout his career, he has specialized in investment management, investor relations, mergers and acquisitions, inorganic growth strategies, and global market expansion across Europe, the United States, and the Asia Pacific region. As a former entrepreneur himself, Rohit understands the challenges founders face while building and scaling businesses. His unique combination of entrepreneurial experience, global business development, leadership coaching, cross border investment expertise enables him to guide organizations through fundraising, strategic partnership, market entry, and long term growth. Having coached more than 2,000 CXOs and business leaders while successfully leading post merge integrations and organizational transformation initiatives, Rohit brings a practical and strategic perspective on building globally competitive companies. Thank you for joining us today, Rohit.
Thank you, Sushma, for the invitation. Yeah, so I'll now present what we are doing. And in terms of AI, how I think things would shape in next 3 to 5 years. Um, I'll be discussing that in a couple of minutes. And post that, you can ask a couple of questions with me and we can discuss and dwell a little bit deeper in terms of investment and the perspective of investors that could help founders rethink, recalibrate, and build products and solutions according to how investors are thinking.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. We have been working with founders who are in building AI products and solutions for different industries. And a couple of things which we observe in the, how the AI evolved over a period of time. Initially, we saw that a lot of, low hanging fruits in terms of AI deployment, uh, like, for example, recruitment tool using AI was something which was the lowest use case that a founder could think of. And you saw a lot of companies building products in those lines. And there was some problem. We felt that there were too many companies entering the same problem and trying to solve the same problem. And you continue to see that even today, you find founders looking at use cases which are very simple to handle, which AI would be able to kind of build a solution around it, which is recruitment. And also, if you see some of the stock market insight related products. And these two type of solutions, which we see quite often, is not really solving the real problems in the industry. And I do believe that a founder should look at two aspects of building a product. One is, are you understanding the depth of the industry? If you say um, automotive, VFSI, retail, manufacturing, you can name any industry. Do you have the depth in terms of understanding the domain, the vertical? If you're not having that, the problem is that you're essentially building something which is a AI product, which is trying to address multiple ecosystem with same set of product features and solutions, which will these are the companies I and my the investor communities feel that is going to fail fast. These are the companies which is designed primarily as a AI first company, built on AI first principle, but having very little depth in terms of understanding the industry, right? Industry problems. The second type of company which we feel that are going to succeed um, are the companies who go into that particular industry. Take, for instance, use case of retail. We have been working with one of the company in retail space. They were earlier building SaaS products, and they kind of their solutions cut across different segments of retail, which is quick commerce, warehouse, retail stores, solutions to 3PL, solutions for e-commerce, and they were kind of already had the control over the ecosystem. Uh, they also even ventured into dark stores, solutions for dark stores. So what they had was a good understanding of domain. They had the good understanding of the vertical, because quick commerce has its own vertical challenges, right? Warehousing has its own challenges. So they also had the vertical depth, right? So what we call as uh, depth of understanding the industry is something they were good at, and they were able to build products and solutions around it. So if you add a layer of data science and AI on top of it, you will be able to create a more robust AI solution. But that company would be primarily industry first company, which is building AI as a layer based on the knowledge that is drawn from the ecosystem. So they have a, a solution which would be a combination of Gen AI and a combination and vertical AI. So these are the companies which are going to succeed because the kind of data they would have, the data can also be monetized. The data can also give them a lot of insights. And considering that what we call as you know a bad data is like a garbage in and garbage out, right? If a company has built a product or a solution which captures the right data, then what you get out of insights from AI is also accurate, and the level of accuracy would be even up to 95-96%. And that's the company which are interesting for investors, not the company which you see in the first example, which is trying to be everything and essentially trying to build on top of generative AI solution without understanding the domain knowledge, without having the depth in terms of the particular vertical within that industry, right? And it is always good to test it, test their product, go into the depths with one particular industry, and then see if they can take the same solution to different type of industries. That would be the right way to approach things. And I do believe today you see most founders or the founding team are technocrats who don't have a co-founder who comes from the industry expertise, or they don't have an advisor who comes from that particular industry to help them build the product. So essentially, they are building a product based on whatever limited information they have in terms of the problem statement. and that's not going to really solve the problem. And I do believe this is where the gap is at this point in time. And if companies try to, you know, um, have a kind of a cross-functional team coming from different industry expertise, uh, they would be able to build a more comprehensive product, right? So this is basically how we look at investments in AI. We are looking at companies which are strong on ecosystem. They are primarily a backbone of the ecosystem. They're building a product which is a backbone for the industry, rather than being a very superficial layer built on top of Gen AI, right? So the next point I wanted to discuss is, you know, how do the next 3 to 5 years would look like. Let me go back and discuss a little bit about how the evolution happened, and what we see today is a kind of a process of this evolution. When we talk about Industry 4, right? Primarily, it was human driven with certain, machines being built. Steam engine was one of those machines which actually moved goods from one place to another, which helped build the railways. And Industry 2 is where you had what we call as assembly line systems, right? Economies of scale, which was kind of driven by Henry Ford, which gave rise to large assembly line factories for automotive industries. And Industry 3, what we saw some solutions coming in, CNC, PLC, which was basically computer numerical control systems, which an operator would use to reduce his time and effort using the machine. So this kind of semi-automated the machine, where operators, the humans, still had the control over the machines. Uh, and there was a word which was very popular in manufacturing industry called as 3M, which means man-machine methods. That how man interacted with machine and how machine interacted with methods. So how all the three interacted with each other. That was crucial to how a company would function. Um, and this is where the change is happening. If you look at it, um, methods are the areas where AI is becoming increasingly better than humans in terms of judgment. And Machine is where AI is again getting integrated, and that's where autonomous systems are coming into play. So man-machine methods, then what is the role of the man is the question which is something which has been asked again and again. So one industry which needs to be looked into, which primarily is the forefront of evolution of Industry 4 and 5, and that will also determine how AI would be adopted. That is automotive industry primarily. The second industry would be probably healthcare, medical devices. There you see the adoption happening faster. And over there, if you see, there was what we call as, which is still there, called as ADAS. ADAS means automated driver assistance system, which is popular in the countries like India, where the vehicle responds to the driver instructions reasonably well. And it is far away from what we call as autonomous vehicle, what the Teslas of the world has built, which has its own limitations. What kind of lidar systems they are using, what kind of camera systems they are using, how efficient it is in different environment. All those things determine how um, the product evolves in the future. But we are very close to creating autonomous system which are which where human interference is becoming less and less. And with the advancement in geospatial systems, advancement in GPS, advancement in edge AI, and many other things has led to what we call as autonomous systems. And I do believe uh, going forward, Industry 5 is just a transitionary step, but Industry 6 is already happening, where you see that at the CXO level, an AI avatar is something which is now and here. It is not something in the future. I have been using AI extensively, and I do believe as I use more and more, the AI is thinking the way I think, and I do believe it is becoming more of my avatar. And that you will see increasingly the leadership using AI to have their own avatars. That's a great possibility that is already happening. My interactions with industry leaders make me believe that this is not in the future, that is already now. So enterprise agents are also becoming popular. uh, a bit of value, how the cost can be justified is something which companies are looking at, and there are many other factors which determines what would be the value, cost to benefit of having an AI across the system. I do believe that there are places where AI may not be required, and that is something is different for company to company, and each company has its own way to evolve and understand that. And while they figure out what is the value, what is the cost to benefit that they see, there will be certain segments where the hiring a resource would be much better, cheaper than having an AI. But that will become very thinner and thinner as we get into Industry 6 phase. As every other system starts adopting AI, you will see more and more possibility of human interaction with it becoming more strategic in nature rather than work driven aspects of what the Industry 3 and 4 was. So I am hopeful that some of these technologies like quantum, digital twins, and IoT systems, along with satellite communication, geospatial systems, can probably autonomous create an autonomous factories, autonomous airports, autonomous supply chains, uh, which is not too far. I would probably say next 2 to 3 years you will see this happening in a big way. And 2029 is the date. I believe we will see some of them, these things being realized in um, some of the OEMs, some of the companies in automotive, in healthcare, in supply chain logistics companies. Um, and we have to see where the regulation would play a role. Of course, governance and guardrails would be there. Uh, how you look at IP would be a major question. That's one of the problem which even it is plaguing the investors. Um, so I think that would evolve to a place where there will be certain guardrails put by the government, and next 2 years would be interesting space for us to look into this, right? Sure. So this is these are two things which I want to discuss during this session. Sushma, can we start with the Q&A?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you, Rohit, for sharing those valuable and insights with the global AIpreneurs community.
Mm,
So that was an
mm,
engaging and highly practical presentation.
mm,
So I'd like to move my first question. Many
mm,
AI startups develop outstanding technology but struggles to secure investments and enterprise customers. So from
mm.
your experience working with investors and founders, what are the biggest factors investors evaluate beyond the technology itself when deciding whether a startup is truly ready for funding?
See, there are many factors, right? One is, of course, as I mentioned earlier, the depth of industry knowledge is what is expected out of founders. If the founders don't have it, they should hire advisors, or they should have a co-founder who comes from that domain, so that they are able to build a more comprehensive solution. Because AI is based out of certain pattern recognition. It is based out on certain data. If your data points where you collect the data itself is not right, you end up providing solutions which are not of any use or any value for the industry, right? So the
Yes.
second important aspect is, as I've been mentioning, cost to benefit, uh, of integrating AI. So customer would always look at any solution from the angle of make versus buy. They will ask this question: Can we make this product? How long does it take to make this product? If it can happen in 6 months down the line, then should we really hire this company to do us? Our internal team can handle this, right? Any product or solution which any founders are thinking of building, if that can be replaced within 6 to 1 month by any competitor, right, then that is not a moat. That is not even USP. You will not even survive for 2 years, right? Within 1 year, you'll exit your company. So don't think of building any product or solution which is, based out of your understanding of what the problem is. Do
Yeah.
some research, do some interviews, talk to customers, talk to advisors, understand where the real problem lies and where they are finding it very difficult to find solution. So that you do that portion of the work, you probably would find a space where you create a proper moat, where you don't have too many companies getting into that space. So you have to look at, how do I create a product or a company which has an entry barrier? That means not too many companies can easily get into that space, right?
Mm.
And this is something founders need to think about. If they're not thinking in those lines, they will anything can be replaced in 6 months to 1 year in today's AI age, right? Then you should think about, how do I create a company which can sustain for 3 years?
Mm.
Forget about 5 years. There used to be 5 years plan, 10 years plan earlier. It's all gone for a toss now. You can't survive more than 3 years if you don't have a solid product, right?
Yeah, that's
So yeah, and the second important aspect which they need to look at is, what makes the customer buy this product with least resistance, right? If you want to do hard selling, it will take your energy out. You'll not be able to close deals, right?
Mhm.
So what makes the customer make a quick decision on buying this need also depends on how you create certain urgency, how you show the future value of this solution. That means if you integrate this product or solution, how it provides value for them in next 2 to 3 years. That story has to be stronger. So your product can't be built for today. It should be built for tomorrow. That means you have to look at the future and build the product backwards, right? So there are many aspects of like that which can be discussed, but founders first has to think whether we could be replaced within 6 months to 1 year by any other company which understands what we are doing and they build it, right?
Yeah.
So that's the starting point of asking the question. Yeah.
Thank you for those
Yeah.
insights. So, during your presentation, you mentioned that AI
Mm,
companies which build generic domain agnostic
mm,
products may
mm,
struggle. So,
mm.
while those that deeply understand specific industries and become ecosystem players are more
Yeah.
likely to succeed, right? So, why do you believe vertical AI has a stronger long-term competitive advantage than horizontal AI? And what should
Mm.
founders focus on to build that industry path?
See, horizontal AI, if you can compete with Microsoft of the world,
Mhm.
Amazon of the world, AWS of the world, you go ahead and do it, right?
Mhm.
Zoho is doing certain things. So
Mhm.
there are companies which are already well established who are playing at the horizontal space. They will do it much faster than what you're doing. Probably if
Mhm.
you do something very remarkable and that is disruptive, then go ahead and do it. But I do believe anything that is built on Gen AI will not sustain for long, because that could be easily replicated by the internal teams of the companies or
Mhm.
by the competitor, right? So that's why it's important you go and understand the vertical aspects of the industry, understand where the challenge is coming. And the simple, most important question they need to ask is, right, where is the money being burnt,
Mhm.
right? So how do you get that information? Go and
Mhm.
check the companies annual reports, they will be talking to their investors saying that company is doing well, but these are the problems which we are addressing, right? And if you go and check their financial statements, or even if you ask Gen AI to go and do that and tell you where they are facing problems, right? And you build for that, you build solutions for that. So it's very simple. You need to understand where the leakage is happening, where the companies are burning money, right? And how it is impacting their service level, how it is impacting their bottom line growth. If you ask these three, four questions, you will find the right true problem statement which you can take and solve the problem,
Yeah.
right? And there will be some elements of evolving aspects of industry. For example, if you take cybersecurity, is always evolving,
Yes.
right? There, the threats is always evolving.
Mm.
So those are an industry which can sustain. But the problem is there are 10 companies which come and tell me we are building cybersecurity product. We don't know which one is having a clear differentiator, right? Unless we go deeper into having conversation with the founders,
Yes.
right? And this is where the problem is. Companies today, they don't know how to build differentiators. They don't know how to communicate those differentiators to the investors. They need to look at all these small things. And of course, we do a lot of handholding for founders to get to a stage where they get fundraising. That's a different story. But the need of the hour is founders need to think of a lot of things other than just building the product in silo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a valuable perspective on building sustainable AI businesses.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's move to our next
Mm,
question. So you have worked extensively across Europe, the United States, and like APAC, helping
mm,
businesses expanding into international markets. So what
mm,
common mistakes do AI startups make when planning global expansion, and how can they build a successful go-to-market strategy or
mm.
cross-border growth?
Yeah. See, for example, companies which are building AI products and solutions, they need to first look at what is the regulation, what is the governance, what is the policies which are there as a framework from the local government. If you take European Union has a EU GDPR rules, it takes the identity of individuals seriously. It
Mhm.
does not share individual data so easily. Like if today, if you go to healthcare domain, you can get easily everybody's health data, which is India has kind of opened up everybody's data to everyone, which is not how Europe works. So we have to be very careful in terms of how we are communicating. If we say that I can do X, Y, Z, I can connect everything and I have all the information of the person, the moment you say that, they will, that's a red flag for them.
Mhm.
Every industry person or any partner who would like to associate with you will look at it as a red flag, because they think this person is having too much data about individuals, which is not permitted in their country. So the first is your groundwork, understanding what is the policies in those country, and create your own do's and don'ts, framework, what we will not speak, what we will not do, what we will do specifically for that industry. And if EU GDPR mandates them to store their data in their region, then you have to find the local partners there. And first you find the local partners and build solution specific to that industry, and then reach out to customer, rather than saying, okay, oh, I did not think about it, and then I'll find partner. And if you go back to them, you already lost that deal. So you have to first prepare well, find partners, build, create data specific to that region, make it available in that region, and say that we have taken into consideration the policies and regulation. And the data would be in Denmark, it would be Netherlands, it would be in any of these region, and it's not in India. And how the data would be, whether it's you're using cloud partners, you can always say that we are having a European company do this for us rather than we doing it. And all the data is stored here. So this is number one. Second is, you need to understand that no two countries are the same. The thinking mindset within Europe is different. The thinking mindset within APAC is the different regions are different, right? And the more you understand the cultural aspect and how the industries are evolved and what type of industries are promoted there, the chances of you building products and solution in those areas would be higher, right? So if you are just taking your product to say go to market, is not about you taking your product to those region. It is about you, customizing your product to that region. It is first step is to understand product market fitment in terms of that region. That means that what you have built in India, 60% of that would not only be applicable in that region. Other 40% you may have to build it specific to that region. So, and the risk appetite of having working with Indian company is one thing which you need to look into. There, the better way of addressing this problem is to have local partners who can integrate your product or solution. If it also means that you have to white label, you should go ahead and do it. If revenue is the focus, if you are looking at growth and scale in terms of revenue growth, right? Uh, or if you say that I am ready to wait for some time, but I want my product and my brand to be the most important thing, and I don't want to white label, then you have to put that effort of building the sales leadership over their partner ecosystem who go and close the deal for
Mhm.
you, right? And for that, you need to have mandate from your investors. Preferably, if you have one or two investors from that region, would always help you. We also enable that. We help in finding the right investors, family office in that region. So when you get invested from them, then the chances of them introducing to their connections, their network is very high, right? And for that to happen, you need to make sure that you have a global strategy and you have to build a product which is global product. India is not building products which are global products. We are focused too much on India region where the margins are low. You have to think of how do I build a product which is scalable, which can where geography is not a boundary for us, right? And from there they have to think of building the product and solutions. Yeah.
That's a very interesting way to look at it. So,
Yeah.
moving to our next question. So, you outlined a fascinating vision of Industry 6.0, where AI
Hmm.
agents, digital twins, autonomous infrastructure, and human AI collaboration become the norm. So, looking ahead to 2028 on beyond, which
Hmm.
are these technologies do you believe enterprises should start investing in today? And what
Hmm.
practical first steps should they take to prepare for the future?
See, there are two, three things they need to certainly do. One is IoT digital twin is becoming an important feature of any industry,
Yes.
right? So that is also a kind of giving them insights to data, right data, um, right? And with that right data, you're able to build AI solutions, and you can further optimize the process as you go, right? So I believe the companies should ask this question. Again, going back to my earlier point, they should ask this question whether we are solving for this ecosystem, right? And the second important question when we ask for the ecosystem, we are also looking at integrated solution, right? What used to work as a silo earlier now can be integrated. I showed you that example of retail.
Mhm.
Similarly, if you take digital manufacturing, you can connect many things together and you have an integrated view of the entire supply chain, right? So AI is good at doing that. Are you prepared to do that? That's the question, right? AI can connect the dots and give you the solution. Um, but you have to make sure that are you ready to build a solution which is connected, right? And I do believe companies which are just building the software layer will find it very difficult to show value in terms of AI. Companies which have a hardware and a software as a story would flourish in this space, because if you are good with edge AI, you are good with IoT sensors, If you have on-prem servers, all these things can probably add value to what you're selling. So uh, uh, that's the shift which needs to happen in India, particularly. Founders need to look at hardware as a critical part of their solution, right? Or their product roadmap. So yeah, so I do believe we are already in industry 6, although people say we are in industry 5. I think we are already in industry 6, and 8 next 2 years will surprise us in many things, right? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that forward-looking version. So,
Yeah.
moving to our next question. So, having been both founder and an investment advisor, you have experienced entrepreneurship from multiple perspectives. So,
Mm.
what leadership qualities and mindset shifts separates founders who successfully scale globally from those who struggle during periods of rapid growth?
See, founders are essentially people with their own thoughts, their own background, their own thinking, their own limitations, right? Every person comes with their own uh, strengths, weakness, but the founder who introspect, founders who are curious, founders who are ready to, you know, iterate, evolve, are the ones who succeed. um, Founders who try to be perfect from the very beginning are going to struggle a lot, because it is going to be evolving. As a The entrepreneurial journey is like that. The product which you started with may not be the fully fleshed out product. 1 year down the line, you realize that you need to build something else, so pivoting might be required, because in India we don't have the habit of planning it for 1 year and then building it, right? Unlike Europeans or Japanese, they plan for 1 year and then start building the next year. So they are more likely to succeed because their planning is good. In India, we just hop into it, and agile is a word which fits into Indian mindset, that fail fast and keep evolving. So there is a lot of back and forth thing which happens in India, the Indian entrepreneurs ecosystem, which kind of, either it limits them or it can empower them, and they start to learn, evolve, and become a fully fleshed out entrepreneur, right? So both of the things are true, and we have seen both sides of it. Entrepreneurs exiting and they never coming back into this space. But for founders who are ready to take the challenge and evolve are the ones who are going to succeed. But the most important thing they need to understand is the blind spots, right? That requires a bit of introspection. Uh, each one of us come with a blind spot. We don't know what others can see. We may not be seeing that. So an advisor probably would see certain things a founder is missing, right? So they need to have advisors. They need to have people who can observe and say that, hey, you're not looking at this, right?
Yeah.
So biggest failure of an entrepreneur is not recognizing that they have a blind spot, right? That can again come and haunt you at a later date in a big way when you make blunders. So the biggest, problem along with blind spot is the ego, which comes with a certain degree of achievement in terms of education, in terms of being in coming from premier institutions, uh, premier schools, right? And the problem is of knowing. Problem is not of not knowing, right? Knowing too much is also a problem. um, so you're not ready to learn. You think that you know everything. That's the problem. So I believe blind spot is one thing. The third, I believe the first point which I mentioned is founders who are ready to evolve, who are ready to learn, and adopt. So that's the number one. Second one is founders who understand that there is something called blind spot, and they can have many blind spots, and that can create a major problem to their business, and that can be very costly at times as well. The third important is, as I mentioned, are you regionocentric, are you geocentric, right? If you're global centric, you tend to build products which are globally acceptable, and you understand and solve a larger problem. If you're regionocentric, you're trying to say that I'm only looking at my region, my people, my community, and your problem is smaller, and the number of customer you get also is very small. So it how globally you are tuned to determines how you can scale and expand your business, or else it will limit you to the degree where you are looking at, right? So these are some of the basic three things which founders need to look at. Of course, the fourth important thing is they need to have cross-functional team to support them. Even I would say ideation, even before product market fitment, I would recommend idea market fitment, where you have founders looking at having sales executives, advisors, all of them coming together while they are ideating, not just having two software engineers as founders talking to each other and saying, hey, this is a great idea. That's not going to really help, because you don't know what you don't know. The biggest blind spot is you don't know what you don't know.
Mm.
Right? So having a cross-functional team to ideate and build the product is essential, and that creates a platform where the chances of you pivoting is less, right? So yeah, these
Thank
are four
you.
things. If they look at it, that would be good. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for highlighting where founders look into it. So let's
Hmm.
leads us next question. Strategic
Hmm.
partnerships, acquisitions, and collaborations have become increasingly important for AI companies seeking
Hmm.
rapid growth. So, based on your experience in M&A and inorganic growth strategies, how can startups identify the right partners and build alliances that create long-term enterprise values rather than short-term
Hmm.
opportunities?
See, M&A is a different animal on its own. It has many facets to it, right? There are many categories, subcategories within that. Merger is one aspect of it. Acquisition is other aspect of it. Uh, there is swap merger. There is a partial buyout. There are many things that are there. But leaving the technical aspects of M&A, the most important thing is, why do you want to do M&A, right? So a company, a founder who has reached a certain level of revenue and profitability, now the next leg of their journey is to say that I would go and list this company in the stock market in next one year or 2 years down the line. Then you are essentially in the pre-IPO stage of fundraising, right? And that's where the inorganic growth can come into play. Founders can look at acquiring companies, because your revenue would not be sufficient for you to um, you know uh, sh- uh, you know get a right valuation in the market. So it is important that you reach a certain number, and also show that to the investors that, for the retail investors, that this company has multiple different aspects of business, and it is going to sustain for a longer period of time. So the valuation is justified, right? So for that to happen, you need to acquire companies which are either from the same industry. It could be competitors, or it could be companies which are essentially complementing your industry, or it could be companies which will enable go to market for you. That means I acquire a company in Europe, and then I will go to that market through that company. So there could be many strategies built around M&A, but primary objective is to scale fast, grow fast. That means you need to that's where it's called inorganic growth. That organic growth, what would take you 5 years, with M&A it might happen in one acquisition, right? So one good acquisition. But M&A has its own challenges. The integration of two companies once the acquisition happens is where most companies fail. We enable that part with, we do a lot of leadership alignment, post merger integration side of things, which are very complex process. It's all human behavior driven, and this is where most failure happens. But if all those things are taken care, your acquisition will be successful. So M&A is equally important, but you need to say where it is, where you're doing that. at early stage of the company also, some of the acquisitions can happen if your company has created some product which is kind of challenging the existing market leader. They may approach you and for an acquisition, and if the valuation is good, you can get acquired. So if that is a thought which the founder has, that they want to exit, or probably have a partial buyout in mind, with where they want to sell off, and this still have a nominal shareholding, they can continue to be relevant in that company. So many of strategies, objectives can be built around M&A, but M&A is equally an important aspects of how a founder should look at their exit, whether they want to be acquired or they want to continue to list the grow and list the company in the stock market. So if that needs to happen, then acquisition becomes equally important on whether you're going for listing or you're going for exit, right? Yeah.
Some excellent points that every
Mm,
startup has to look into it. So
yeah.
let's explore our final question. So
Mm,
Global AIpreneurs aims to become one of the world's most trusted ecosystems, connecting AI
mm.
founders, investors, and enterprises, governments, and global markets. So based on your experience in fundraising, leadership, and international business development, what role can initiatives like Global AIpreneurs play in helping startups bridge the gap between innovation, investment, and sustainable global scale?
See, one is, of course, we help founders extensively. Even before fundraising, we help them in terms of product market fitment, whether the product is really evolving to a place where it has some USP, whether it has a moat, right? Moat is something which is vaguely used. It's not something so easily achievable, but at least it should have a USP to start with, right? So
Mm,
what we do with as a global AIpreneurs, we can help entrepreneurs first make sure that whether the problem they are trying to solve is big enough, large enough. We will be able to help them in terms of industrial expertise. We will be able to create a feedback loop where their product is moving in the right direction. Um, right. And we will handhold them at every stage to make sure that they reach a certain revenue number, a certain valuation, so that the kind of strategic investors can come into play, right? So these are a couple of things which we are doing, and we can continue to support this larger ecosystem, whether the value from AI is created enough, and because it's two way. One is the founders ecosystem which creates product, and the product has to be scalable, and it should have some USP or moat. The other aspect of it is the industry leaders whom we are well connected. We also want them to adopt these products. So we are doing both sides of the work, and our network can help these companies get introduced to the right leadership who can work with you to make sure that your products are adopted in their company,
mm,
so they can be even the first mover in that space. So we can do all those things that will help you, survive, sustain, grow, and scale. Uh,
mm. I think that gives our audience a great deal to reflect upon. What
Yeah,
an insightful and inspiring conversation. Rohit,
yeah,
thank you for sharing your expertise and practical guidance on fundraising, leadership, global
mm,
expansion, and strategic growth. Your
yeah,
insights reinforce a critical truth that successful AI companies are built not only on innovative technology, but also on strong leadership, trusted partnership, and access to global markets. Thank you.
yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Sushma, for inviting me for this speaker session. I am glad to help any founders who are struggling, founders who are hit a wall in their business. We can help them pivot, help them find true value in their business, hidden value in their business, so that they can survive, they can succeed, and then grow and scale.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
And
Thank
to
you.
thank you to everyone joining us from around the world. Thank you for being part. Today's session, the future of artificial intelligence, will be shaped not only by technological breakthroughs, but also by international collaborations, responsible governance, and shared innovation. If you are an AI founder, innovator, investor, or enterprise leader looking to become part of this growing global ecosystem, we invite you to join us at Global AIPreneurs. Thank you for joining us today. Until next time, keep innovating, keep collaborating, and together let's build a trusted global AI future. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great